Hi, James. Welcome to the Finite Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you here. We're back in the office. We haven't done an in-person one in a while, but I think you're the perfect person to join me today to talk about partner marketing.
Yeah, no, let's get into it.
Yeah, we haven't actually also done a channel-specific one in a while, and we've, believe it or not, over 150 episodes never talked about partnerships. So I'm excited to dive in, learn about what partnerships are and how our audience can start involving, maybe even not partnerships, but a partner marketing mindset into their own strategy.
No, I think everyone can have a next step when it comes to partners. I certainly wasn't a partner advocate or an evangelist for many years. And so, yeah, I know exactly where those mindset are.
Great. Cool. Well, we know each other a bit, but I will let you tell us and our audience more about who you are, where you work, and about your career in marketing so far.
Yeah, of course. James Stacey. I've been at Red Hat, which is a subsidiary of IBM, in the marketing teams for 5 years. Before that, I started as an analyst in the music industry. So, yeah, not a linear path, that's for sure. But yeah, always been analytical, always looked to understand how to improve things. Been agency side, been in-house. So yeah, got a broad spectrum, seen a lot of challenges, seen some of them overcome, some of them not so much. And yeah, been in partner marketing for 2 years.
Awesome. Yeah, it never is linear for us marketers, never. But we always enjoy where we end up. So do you want to tell us a bit about where you've ended up, a bit about Red Hat and the partner marketing function where you are now?
Yeah, so I think my career has evolved at the same time as Red Hat has evolved their thinking. I mean, partners have always been really important to Red Hat, and they come in many different guises, and we'll go into that. But as partners became more important, it obviously stands to reason that marketing needs to get more infused with how we work with our partners, how our partners extend our value and extend the communication channels that we have. And so ultimately, when I moved into partner marketing, I've learned a lot. And yeah, now in my role, so I'm a partner marketing strategist. So I don't manage any individual partners, but what I look to do is try and evolve the way Red Hat works across our ecosystem in a way that suits our customers, it suits our partners, and ultimately benefits extending the value of Red Hat.
Awesome. It sounds like you're the perfect person, like I said, to talk to us about partner marketing today then. I would love to start with quite a broad question because I know that partner marketing is everywhere. It's always on job boards. It's always our colleagues. But I don't think many people actually realize just what partner marketing is and entails. And I think it's also got quite a broad scope. It can be multiple things in one, as with a lot of marketing. So could you tell us a bit about what partner marketing actually is and the kind of things that it might entail?
Yeah, of course. Sometimes people get fixed in their view as to what partnerships are. Sometimes it's just thought of as like someone that's reselling your business and just looking to make money out of your product or your company. But it's so vast and it's multifaceted, and I think that also leads to complexity, and then complexity leads to being people put off by trying to understand it. But ultimately, every single company is reliant on their partners in some way, and I think most businesses will benefit from leaning in more than they do leaning out. I like to think of, if we boil down partners into sort of three aspects, you can have your sort of build partners who are taking whatever your service or product or technology, and then iterating it in some way that solves a problem for their customers. You've got the service side of partnerships where your product or service or technology stands alone, but then they can wrap what they do around it and add additional value to their customers or to your customers on your behalf. And then you've obviously got the sale partners, which ultimately either distribute or resell. So take your product and then deliver it to their audience. Maybe they're focused on a specific industry or a niche where they can add their understanding and their value. But ultimately the product stays the same, and they're not delivering any build or service services on top of that. So we have so many different partner types, and we'll have partners who actually cover all three of those. So build, service, and sell, and they'll do some of them and not all of them, depending on the customer, depending on the use case. But what that enables us to do is, if we understand who is playing what role and what support that they need, within partner marketing, we've got a multitude of different approaches that we can take into that. So, as well as you'll obviously have your to customer message, you then need to think about, if your partner is delivering that message, what is the to customer message that is from the partner? And the more you can deliver what that would look like to the partner, the less confusion they're going to have when they're delivering that message to the customer. Then you've got your to partner message. So, why partner with your particular company? What benefits will they see? And it doesn't always have to be just financial. You're adding strings to their bow by being within the ecosystem that you manage. And then you've got for partner marketing. So sometimes we'll be the partner and we'll have a solution of one of our partners. We'll be then taking our technology, but then we're delivering that message, but we're selling the value of both ourselves and the partner to our customers. And so you've got to understand, you've got to work backwards to understand what the value of that partner is on your customer, but through your own channels. So like I said, multifaceted, and it can be very complex very quickly.
Absolutely. I think that's a nice detail, is when you're a partner, understanding the value that you're adding, because recommendations count. And recommendations, if they go positively or negatively, fall back on probably more of the recommender than the brand itself. So I'd love to learn more about the actual relationship that you have with these partners. How are you making sure that they are brand evangelists, that they're recommending you to the right people in the right circumstances? Are there weekly calls? Are there a group call? How does that actually work in practice?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And again, because it's partnerships, it's not a straightforward answer. You'll obviously always have your most strategic partners, and they're the ones then you're likely to have your weekly calls. You probably have a quarterly business review. You're aligned on strategy. You understand what their goals of the partnership are. They understand what your goals of the partnership are, and coming to that agreement, working together, gets you closer and more aligned. Often you'll have a deep understanding of existing customer bases and where you cross over, where your values are. And then all the way at the other end of the spectrum, you're going to have smaller partners that are possibly self-serve, but they're still just as important, because of the scale of those smaller partners, when you add them all together, they can be as influential as some of your biggest, most strategic partners. And so we like to try and think about supporting any partner of any size, no matter what their engagement is, because ultimately that self-service experience needs to be just as valuable as that dedicated headcount where you're delivering value on a weekly cadence, whether that be in a call or emails or any other channel. And so Typically, we'll have a global team that helps support our global partners, and they'll provide consistency and build the campaigns that are then being taken to market within countries. Then you'll have, regionally important partners who have the relationships with teams in the region, and then, all the way down to in the field. Maybe we have a healthcare team in Italy who have a partner that they work really closely because they're aligned on a shared vision. We do have the whole gambit, and it's very hard because obviously every company has a finite amount of resources, whether that is financial, whether that is headcount, whether that is the support services that you can wrap around your partnerships. So you do have to be careful on where you lean into and where you pull back from. But at the same time, it's important to not forget the strength that you have in depth when it comes to your partnerships.
Awesome. So it's almost as if the complexity of the team structure reflects the complexity of the ecosystem itself, with these multiple streams and types of partners, and then the size of those partners, and then even the influence of those partners as well, whether they're large or small. Interesting. I'm totally going off script here, but I would love to talk about incentivization and how you ensure that partnerships are mutually beneficial for both parties.
Yeah, and that is really important. And when you're in marketing, typically you understand the value of your business, and you understand the value of your products or technologies, and we're all a bit biased. We all think that ours is the best and that all customers should be purchasing from us. And so it can be a real shock when partners don't want to work with you for their particular customers, when you think that your product or service or technology is the best fit. And so it's really important to understand what is in it for the partner. In a perfect world, the best product wins when it comes to a customer, and the partners should implement the best technology. But so often the incentives can play a huge role. Whoever's going to pay that partner the most is the one that they're going to push. Whoever makes it the easiest way to sell. If your product isn't the best, but your sales enablement and your content is far superior, and it's easy for the salesperson to understand because they haven't gone through all your sales training. But if they can come onto your partner portal or wherever you host that information, and they can instantly see how they can deliver that message to the customer, and of course what's in it for them to do so, then they're going to become an evangelist. So it is multifaceted. From a financial perspective, especially when it comes to marketing, a lot of partners will have what's called an MDF program, so market development funds, and this can be spent on marketing and then rebates through deal registrations. It can be the ability to host or be part of events for free off the back of that relationship. It's not just a sales function when it comes to incentives. Marketing can play a huge role, and we all know that marketing budgets are often staying flat, and so actually leaning into your partners who want to spend that money to invest to reach your audience, and not only reach your audience but have your audience hear from a trusted source, because we assume that our partners, their customers, do trust them. Marketing always wants to reach a new audience from a trusted source, and so if you can dip into your partner's MDF, then you can potentially increase your budget for the year, and that's obviously going to be beneficial as well.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. I hadn't thought about that kind of enablement piece, and I think it reflects the marketing funnel more widely, and that friction is the enemy of marketing. So that's a really good point. And you've mentioned some benefits of partner marketing as well. I wonder, again, compared to other digital channels, what do you think are the strategic advantages of partner marketing particularly?
So I think a lot of the time it comes down to trust. I think that's why influencer marketing is growing in B2B particularly, because ultimately, through all the advances in technology that we're seeing at the moment, it's so much easier to get a personalized message to an audience. And I think customers are becoming wise to that, and I think trust becomes so much more important and inherent in all of those conversations. So if you can lean into an audience that is already bought in, and by that I mean your partners, and have them extend your message to the customers, I think it just becomes so much more important. And all those other channels are really, really important as well. So I'm not discrediting them. I think direct marketing is always going to play a part, where that's your thought leadership, your brand, even your demand generation. The more it's infused with partners, I think the stickier it gets. So, and I didn't really lean on that before, but it's symbiotic as well. If you're going to market with a partner, and you both add a lot of value, if you are then you have two companies or technologies or services embedded in a customer and they're working together, then you're going to not only provide more value for that customer, but you're going to become stickier. Like, your renewal rates will go up because you're adding more value and more expertise within a company, and that is just going to become more and more important. So yeah, I'm definitely not discrediting any of the direct marketing channels. I just think there's a huge value to be made from going in with a partner.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a couple of years ago, everyone was talking about word of mouth, and this feels like word of mouth at scale. And referrals will always be king. Do you think there are any disadvantages to partner marketing over others?
I mean, there's certainly a lot of perceived disadvantages. So you'll hear things like, my visibility goes down when a partner's involved because you're using antiquated and systems that store data that you don't have access to, and so there can be a lot of blind spots. It's harder to measure ROI. It's harder to measure anything often. That people will mention, deal cycles can get longer. Salespeople can complain that if you involve a partner, that they might not see the value of the deal until much later. From a marketing perspective, I think it's the complexity. It's the concern that if you go to market with a partner with a joint value message, then you are diluting the message of your own, which is true. But like I said, if that is then solving a customer pain point, with that joint value proposition, then you're adding more value ultimately. So I think with the and we yet to see it yet, but with the emergence of AI and a lot of the obstruction of being able to utilize and see the data, I think that could cut out a lot of the issues that we see, and I think we can you lean on the AI and the agentic part of that, where we can pull more tools and more data, sort of where we're holding the data together, and then start measuring and perpetuating the value of I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, no, it did. Definitely. I think the perceived disadvantages of partner marketing can all be solved with also a very strong relationship with your partners and transparency over data and data sharing. AI can come into that as well, if it can synthesize that data and not have to share the entire data stack. Then you can kind of get like the snippets that you need, and also measure that even like increased brand resonance with partner marketing and things that are more difficult to grasp. I think that AI might enable that.
You're like my personal AI generative answer. You just said what I was trying to say, but much more succinctly.
No, not at all, not at all. You got it. I was just making sure. Cool. So we've talked a lot about what partnerships are, what they entail, and some key benefits. Talking a bit more strategically from your lens, I would like to know how you measure the success of partnerships and know when to lean into them, when to pull out, which ones are more valuable, and is there a correlation between these groups that you mentioned before, the sizes of the companies, and which ones you actually keep, or is it entirely context dependent?
So, yeah, I mean, nothing is context dependent, but ultimately, I think what you really want to do is boil it down to the value to the customer. So, your most strategic partners will be providing the most value to your customers, and that doesn't necessarily have to be all of like on a financial basis, like looking at all of your partners that are bringing in deals, because there could be those service partners who are recognizing and representing you inside the customer, but then the customer is actually coming to you, and in terms of the data, you wouldn't see that partner anywhere, and creating the systems where you can start measuring that is obviously really important. And then it comes down to what is your strategy, and that's why I think marketing plays such a huge role, because marketing is so inherent on what is the go-to-market, what is the value to the customer, where are we doubling down on, and then partnerships just creates a layer onto that. So if we need to focus, if we're focusing on these countries and we're focusing on these industries, then as much as you're looking at the firmographic and the behavioral data of your prospective buyer, you should look at also the same data layer for the partners that can help take that message in and help go to market with you. At one stage, I think partnerships is just going to be a layer within marketing. I think because of its complexity, and the amount of understanding you've always historically had to have within partnerships, there has, in often a lot of cases, you've got your marketing team and you've got your partner marketing team, and maybe there isn't as much of that Venn diagram crossover as we would like. But I think at some point, the most successful companies are going to have a partnership layer in all of the marketing that they do.
Interesting. That's a really bold statement, but it makes sense. As you mentioned before, trust is key now, especially in the age of AI, as you also mentioned. So yeah, I think partner marketing will be really key. And if Red Hat is dedicating, one of the leaders in the B2B tech field is dedicating so much resource and budget to this partner marketing strategy, then I think that's saying something.
Yeah, I mean, we've the rise of the hyperscalers, so we would call those big cloud providers of Microsoft and AWS and Google Cloud. A lot of customers are going to their marketplaces and buying off the shelf, and so if our marketers aren't aware that that's where their customers would like to purchase from, and there has to be an element of not just what the product does, but where you can find it and what the value of it is on those solutions, then we're just going to get lost in the sea of competition.
Absolutely. I think now would be a great time to talk about some examples. I think we've talked very theoretically, which has been absolutely brilliant, and I've learnt so much. But I would love to know about some successful partnerships that you've led, maybe highlighting some decisions where you've decided to lean in or pull back, and how those relationships have been built and measured.
Yeah, of course. So I think where we're seeing a lot of value now is not just the one-to-one partnerships, but it's where we're going to market with multiple partners simultaneously. So I mentioned the hyperscalers there, but if if we are if we are a technology partner and the marketplace is where they're going to be transacting and where they're going to be running our applications, and we can go to market with a solution provider who can talk about or like a service vendor, I should say, and we can talk about, okay, we've got the technology, we've got where it is, and we can wrap around the service around it. That is a whole solution, and you're going to drive a tremendous amount of value through that. So yeah, you'll often see the three-way plays going to market, and we've seen a lot of value from that. If you wanted specific examples, we're doing a lot with Dell at the moment, and Dell have been a real advocate for Red Hat over the last few years, and continues to grow. And what we're seeing there is that actually, they're what you call a build partner. So our technology sits on their technology, and they're actually the ones that are sort of perpetuating the sale and delivering a lot of the marketing. But then we support them because we deliver the thought leadership. So we're helping tell the market why Red Hat and Dell is hugely advantageous for the problems that they're solving. But actually, we're really hands off when it comes to demand generation, starting the conversation with sales, that handover piece, delivering that pipeline to the business. We're getting that information after the deal has been made. So there's a real trust element, but ultimately that is the way that the customer's going to see the most value, and so it's all about picking and choosing what role you play with different partners. So yeah, there's a practical example.
Awesome. And would you say a kind of gold standard partner is one that fits in that? Sorry, I've forgotten the three. It's build, partner,
service, and sell.
Yeah, would gold standard be all three of them?
No. I think the bigger the partner, the more likely they are to be multifaceted. But you can have very strategic partners that just sit on the sell side. So you've got your resellers, you've got distributors who play that financial role as part of the deal, and they don't want to be involved any more than that. They understand where their value lies, and their customers do as well. But then the Dell example, they can play every role. They've got the consultancy side within the business that can deliver that value as well.
Cool. All right. So finding value in all sizes and shapes of partners. Well, I'm going to wrap it up now because we're at time, but it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you and learning about partner marketing. So thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure to be here, and hopefully that's added some value to someone's day.
I'm sure it has.